Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Zach,
And this is your boy DC.
and we got Rederick in the house. What up, dude?
What up? What up?
When I wake up,
How you doing, man? How's Corona going for you?
It's definitely had its pros and cons. Not being able to get out and see live music and interact with a lot of people. That's had its negative effects, if you will. But like I was just saying, in terms of being able to spend a lot more time on being creative and just being productive, making music and stuff like that has been really beneficial.
100%, man. You've been putting out a lot of stuff lately, too.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Just try to be consistent with it, and got a lot of unreleased stuff and all that ready to submit out and get ready to keep on rolling with it.
Hell yeah, man.
So you mentioned one of the things that's hindering you the most during this Corona is going to like a live event, going to a show. So before this whole thing went down, what was the last show you went to?
It was a Deaf House event. I don't know if you guys have heard of Deaf House before.
Is that like 170 BPM, like 4 on the floor type shit?
Well, Deaf House they're like a creative entity, if you will, in Atlanta. So put on events, do art for artists, various types of stuff that they have their hands in. But they brought in Roman Silver, Jordan Moody, and Coffin to play a show at
Right. That was that show that was kind of like almost like in a industrial looking area, right?
Yeah. It's like in the basement of the Met. I don't know if you know where the Met is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like an abandoned boiler room. It was fucking awesome. Had a blast.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, that was the last one. It was a good one too.
What do they play there? Did they do? I know they had like some bass type music. I'd
say it was very West Coast trap influenced, if you will, with a lot of underground trap sounds that are coming over there, especially with Jordan Moody. He's actually one of my favorite underground producers right now. So it was cool seeing him. But Roman Silver, his sound varies. He has trap and stuff. He's on he's on the Bitbird label, so they tend to have a lot of varied sounds, but generally more on the chill side. And Coffin is also I believe he's kind of more bass housey, but all three of them they're playing stuff all across the board.
So on the flip side, once this whole thing is done and people are back on the road traveling and touring and playing at different venues, who are you looking forward to seeing after the dust settles?
Oh, shit. There's so many people I want to see. I don't really have I really want to see. I mean, as I say that, I'm like, oh man, like there are artists I really want to see. But I don't know. I have a pretty open perspective with it.
Okay.
But there was going to be Carlos Santana set or a concert in Atlanta that was coming up soon. And obviously it's postponed. But yeah, excited. Yeah, and Fish was supposed to come here too. I know that's not electronic.
So many good shows got canceled, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
So let's dive in. This is still the beginning, still kind of in the intro phase of our show. So let's just tell everybody exactly who you are and kind of how you got into music.
Yeah. So as the intro alluded to, my DJ name is Rederick, but my real name is Steven Copriva. The type of music I make is honestly all across the board in terms of genres, if you will. But I really like to experiment with sound and also incorporate a lot of natural sounds and Foley sounds. So you'll see those, it may be a house track or a lo-fi track, but I might use the same forest sample or something like that. So I really like incorporating just natural sounds.
And you record a lot of your own sounds too, right?
Yeah, I got a little field recorder that I bring around. I got a lot of shit that I captured on that. Like, when I was in India for 2 months, got gigabytes of shit from when I was over there, just recording just a lot of ambience and stuff like that. But I don't know, it really helps to drive the creative process almost, like when you're just, out walking around or whatever, just, recording shit. But, it's like you captured that sound in that moment wherever you were, and that particular sound of nature, no one's going to hear, ever hear again except you in that moment. And kind of one thing I really like doing is re-listening to all the sounds I capture after, doing a field recording day, if you will. It's cool just kind of like reliving like that day through sound and
in that very moment. It to me, listening to that, that's kind of cool. It would definitely, well, for me, it would help me get inspired to do my next project. Does that help you with your inspiration?
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So when you record that, like, do you go in like, hey, I'm recording this today, or I want to capture ambient sounds today, or I want to capture whatever, like is there a game plan, or do you just kind of go for it?
Usually when I'm going out and recording, it's just mainly just going to be like ambience that I'm recording. When I'm going for like percussive stuff, that's usually something I record on the spot while I'm making a track, because there might be like certain kind of sound I'm going for. But, say I'm like going out, like sometimes I'll just bring my field recorder with me, and if I'm walking on the sidewalk, I'll just flip it on and keep walking, if you will. But yeah, when it comes to that, I kind of just, it's just for the moment, bring it, record it. But, when I'm recording, like I was saying, percussive sounds, I'll usually do that kind of in the writing session, if you will.
Very cool, man. Quick question for you though. So what was the process for when you like first started music to where you got today, essentially? So
yeah,
how did you really get started in electronic music and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I picked up music, like producing music in college, but before that, I've always, growing up as a kid and everything, I've done something musically. As a little toddler, I was playing piano for a while. Played that for like 10 years or eight years, something like that. And I hit puberty. I was like, this shit isn't cool. So I picked up electric guitar. That was cool,
Right.
And yeah, I've stuck with guitar for a while, but like I've always, done something like that. And I don't know, even just listening to music, I don't know, just always got into this mindset where I'll kind of like dissect a track, if you will. But I actually started producing, it was junior year of college. So that was like 5 years ago now. So honestly, pretty recently. But yeah, in terms of the inspiration, it was actually at a music festival. I was at a Bass Nectar show.
Oh, nice.
And I don't know, there's just like, it was just in that moment, I was just like, damn, like, I don't know, like something just like clicked for me. That I was like, I want to like start making this shit. And that's how I got the initial inspiration. But in college, I was kind of off and on with it. Got a textbook that outlined Ableton, so I read through that, and just kind of got over those growing pains in college, but never released anything. Finished some projects, but it was just very initial growing pains, if you will, and again was off and on, was busy with school and stuff like that. But right when I moved to Atlanta, almost 2 years ago now, I really, every day, doing shit, really taking it a lot more seriously. And, kicked off the Rederick project about 6 months after I moved to Atlanta. And then, started off with the EP release in July of 2019, and we're here now.
Wow.
Like it was a bit of a bumpy start, but it was what got me at that initial moment of inspiration was I just got in a train of thought of like I want to be doing something for the rest of my life that makes me happy, And I don't want to ever grow up regretting trying, at least, trying to do that. Yeah, and we're here where we're at today.
So in July, when you released your EP, what was like? How did that go? I mean, what kind of roadblocks did you run into to make that happen?
Ran into some roadblocks. Initially was just some samples I had used. I found some like weird vocal samples to use in a track I was using. That was just like, typical like vocals you hear in a lo-fi track, like radioed out. And it turned out the vocals were from To Kill a Mockingbird. Just ripped off it.
Oh, no.
I reached out to Splice. I got like 6 months free from them because I was like, hey, by the way, like this whole pack is all copyrighted material.
Oh, no.
So that was shitty. Just everything with the first release. It was a lot of work. Like, probably took, half a year just, making the tracks, getting it ready and everything up until the release. And also working with my buddy, one of my best friends down in Tampa, who's also doing producing. He does a lot of engineering as well. But at that time, he was, pretty much, a newbie like I was. So there was a lot of back and forth on the engineering side of it. But yeah, it was overall, I thought it went pretty smoothly. It was a good learning experience. And if there is any tip I would give for new producers, it would be not to start off with an EP. Rather release singles, and it's whatever looking back on it. But if there was a tip I would give, I would do EP release like 2 years in.
I noticed a lot of artists are doing that nowadays anyway. Like Illenium, he was like back in the day just doing like single releases, and then after those singles were released, he would release an album, and then there would be other songs that weren't released in that album. Is that something you ever thought about?
Yeah. You do see that a lot where it's like, oh, it's an EP, but they release each track like every week kind of thing. So it's, like pretty much like and that is a really good way to promote an EP because it's like you're promoting one track each week. So it's a new track or whatever, as opposed to, one EP. 1 week you're getting, instead of like 5 tracks, like what it comes down to is 5 tracks spread out over a month in terms of being released. Seems like you're, just releasing more music than releasing 5 tracks at once, if you will. And you can also base your promotion off of that.
Yeah. Definitely keeps all the people that follow you engaged.
Yeah. I was just about to say that. Yeah, 100%. Keep them engaged. Keep them wanting them. They'll keep wanting more. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's a really good way to release an EP too, I think, and you definitely see a lot of that with underground artists. When you're big, like drop an album all at once and promote it, and it's a done deal. But for promoting underground music, definitely one song at a time, I think is the best route to take, just because like I was saying, 5-6 tracks spread out over 1-2 months just seems like more music than all at once, if you will. But yeah,
cool.
Wish I would have done that back in the day, but it doesn't matter. We're here now.
You live and learn. You live and learn.
At the end of the day, music is a creative process, and you can do it wherever the fuck you want.
Hell yeah,
because it's art.
So, do you what are your some of your favorite plugins that you use at this time?
So definitely Serum. I'm a heavy Serum power user. Like I fucking love that synth. And I every single song I'll have multiple instruments that are using Serum, if you will. Fucking love Valhalla Room Reverb. Fucking love it. And if we're just talking third-party plugins, because like I mean all the Ableton stuff I fucking love too. Like all the in-house Ableton plugins, like you don't fucking need to buy anything. You
Right.
can just use it. Like Operator is such a cool fucking synth. You like awesome. But for third party, so we got Valhalla, Serum. I just got Omnisphere last week, and
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
I must say it is quite worth the price tag.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
has
Um,
a
I was
pretty
about to say
expansive
it's not
library.
cheap. Yeah.
yeah, but you can do like a lot of that stuff you can do rent to own stuff through if you buy it through Sweetwater. So I'm actually paying for it in like 5 installments of like 70
Oh yeah, yeah.
bucks.
That's like one of the best ways to do it.
That's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what, $99 a month, pretty much.
Yeah, it was like 137 up front, and I'm paying like 79 a month for like 6 months. Not
Nice.
bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's already becoming like my favorite synth because I mean it comes with like 14,000 presets or whatever, which are absolutely incredible. It's a wormhole of sounds. But if you actually look at the actual synthesizer itself, like it's pretty whack with the type of sound design you can do in it because
Mhm.
you basically got like 9 instrument slots, if you will, and
Mhm.
within each of those instrument slots you have 4 oscillators that you can either use a sample, so you can drag a sample in like you can in Serum, or you can use a wavetable. So like the sound design possibilities just with that aspect of it is it's
It's
fucking
pretty
powerful.
much endless, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw their booth at NAM out in LA, and uh, people were going crazy over that Omnisphere like booth. They were
It's whack.
playing with it, and yeah, I mean they had a guy like just showing like a little tutorial and just kind of just showing off all the features and stuff. So it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope.
And at first
Yeah.
glance, too, it has a pretty simple layout as well, right?
Oh, it's insane. Like it's like if you know Serum pretty well, you can pick up Omnisphere like that. Like there's a
Nice.
lot of, I mean, obviously the UI is totally different, but with how it's just arranged and where certain things are and all that, it's very, I don't know, like for some reason I like it. It's just easier to pick up. I think like if you learn a synth really well, like a Serum or a Massive, picking up other synths, it's really just like comes down to like understanding terminology and stuff like that.
Right.
The UI is going to be different, but an LFO is going to be an LFO, an envelope is going to be an envelope.
Right.
So I think that kind of plays a larger role in actually picking it up. But outside of that, though, yeah, I think they did an awesome job on designing the UI.
Hell yeah. I
Really
know.
Well,
easy to do.
continuing to talk about plugins outside of like a VST or actual like instrument, your EQs, your compressors, your reverbs. Do you do all the Ableton? Do you use theirs or do you use third parties for those as well?
So with compressors and limiters, I've been using a lot of UID stuff. So I also somewhat recently got a UAD Apollo, and their shit's off the charts.
Hell yeah.
But got to use it in a limited fashion. So if I'm really trying to warm something up, give it that little analog little tint, I'll use the UAD stuff. And like the Fairchild 670, fucking love just throwing that on a lot of stuff. I'll have that on my master. But I use Ableton's compressor and glue compressor all the time. Like if you're just trying to take off a little sharpness and a note, if there's a little transient sticking out, I'll just throw a compressor on there, high attack, high release, dip it down a little bit.
Their compressors are pretty good. Like their multi-band compressor, their regular compressor, and their glue compressor are just phenomenal for stock plugins.
Yeah, I feel like outside of OTT, I like really don't use the multi-band compressor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't use it too. Like when it comes to mixing stuff like compression, EQ, I keep my process pretty simple. Like honestly, for like outside of cutting below like 80 hertz for stuff outside of a subwoofer just to remove any muddiness, I rarely use EQ. I tend to focus on volume. And adjusting volume. Of course, there are situations where I really just need to, free up 1,000 hertz. And I'll take little dips.
Yeah.
Some tracks to free that up. For kicks, I'll always usually have an EQ just to find that boxiness in that low hertz range and do a little dip there.
So a lot of subtractive EQ.
Yeah, but very, very minor. Like only if it just depends. But I honestly rarely use EQ. I mean, and you'll find people that do that too, and you'll find people that are really really deep in with the EQ side of it. But I just really focus a fuck ton on volume.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it sounds
mixer.
good in the final product, that's pretty much all that matters. So awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's those situations where there is that harshness that you need to take out, but I try to leave the spectral balance of each of my sounds there, and if they need to be quieter, duck it with volume. But if there's just like this shit around 1,000 hertz, I'll use an EQ and duck it out. But
so you got Serum, you got Omnisphere, you got all your instruments, you're working inside of Ableton. Real quick, were you working on any particular DAW before Ableton?
Nope. Started with that and stayed with it.
Boom.
Yep.
All right. So
yeah, I did the nerdy route. Yeah, I literally got I think I have it close by me, but yeah, I just got a big ass textbook and just read through the whole thing and learned it.
I feel like once you drink the Kool-Aid with any DAW, you're kind of stuck in that one forever. I mean, I definitely know people that, expand their horizons and check out different DAWs, but most people I talk to, they're like, I like this one and I want to stay with it.
Yeah, I have no wish to leave Ableton at all.
No, you shouldn't. I mean, the better you know your DAW, the more creative you're going to be, because now you're not thinking technical stuff. You can just think creatively, and you know how to execute and how to bring that to light. So all right. So you already got your instruments. You're doing your thing. You're building your composition, and you do minor little EQs. So the song is created, right? You have your song. What are you doing after that?
Well,
like it's still in Ableton though. So like, where are we at in the process? It's still in Ableton. Do we take it somewhere else? Do we keep it in there, or what are we doing next?
So say we have a finished track. I'll try out. I usually just throw Ozone 9 on there just to get a BS mastered version just to see how it sounds with limiters slapped on it. And usually I'll just adjust the mix. A lot of times too, just close the project, start something new, and give it a ear break for a week. Open it back up, or just listen to it, write down notes on my phone on stuff I might need to fix in the mix, and just kind of just adjust it over a span of like a week or two, and not listening to it much, and just listening to it once, maybe 1 or 2 days, and writing down everything that I think of. But once I get it to a point where I'm satisfied with the mix, it's sounding good with a few different limiters on it, I'll just bounce the stems down to my buddy down in Tampa, just to do the final master. I know a lot of people do their own masters, and that is awesome. My opinion on it is I think it's cool to have, or good to have a second set of ears, if you will, do any last final adjustments, especially on the master. And I'm also fortunate to have a best friend that does that type of stuff. So I usually just send him the stems just to give it that final little beef. And from there, just figure out a release date and start figuring out. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, do you send them all the stems, or just the way?
Yeah, so I group all my tracks into the main categories. I'll have my leads, my bass, kick and snare are always in their own track. Always leave those out, but then I'll have the tops grouped up. So I'll probably have maybe like 12 to 15 stems, or like 7 to 8, just depends.
So you have them as groups in a way.
Yeah. I mean, there could be like 20, 30 individual tracks in a group, if you will. But if like all my FX, for example, will be in a group, but I might parse out impacts separately because the impacts might have a little more bass in them. So I might, it depends, but yeah, I definitely group everything as much as I can. So he's only working with 12 to 15 stems. And lately he hasn't really had to do too much adjustments on the mix side, which has been good, getting better.
Awesome.
But yeah, usually
Yeah.
definitely group everything up and then send them the stems from there based off of, the primary instrument grouping, if you will.
All right. No, I got you. What you got, Zach?
All right. So one question we like to ask is, what do you see in the music industry, something that, you would like to change and something that you really like about the music industry that, you would want to stay the same?
I feel like this is a really relevant question now, just given how COVID has really impacted the industry. And I'll kind of base my answer off of that. And one thing I want to stay, if you will, is like this whole surge in live streams, if you will, because it's never been a thing where you can sit on your couch and watch your favorite artist play a set. It's never been a thing, and I highly doubt people are going to want that to stop.
Especially because they're free too, right? Or most of them are.
Yeah, and that pulls up the argument like, all right, how do you actually monetize it? Because it still costs money to put on that stuff, but I would imagine at a far reduced rate, right? Because the artist is sitting in their living room, so the cost side of it is way lower, I would imagine. I mean, I can't say for sure because I haven't put on one of those events myself, but based off of they don't have to rent hundreds of porta potties and stuff for a festival. But I really hope that stays, and the frequency will definitely reduce, I think. But it's been really cool to see how the industry has evolved so quickly. And yeah.
Do you think that may open up possibilities? Because I know they did like a couple like virtual sets where you could, put your virtual goggles on and headphones and stuff, and it was like a 3D space. Do you think you'll find a surge in that after COVID?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting because, I mean, we like, humans as a, global society have been slowly, entering this internet age, if you will, and, everything's starting to move to the cloud. I mean, if you think about it, we're already walking cyborgs because we got one of these in our pocket. Yeah. Everybody has this pocket. Like, what the fuck are you going to do without one of these things now, right? And, this whole stay at home thing, what do you do when you're at home? Everyone's got the internet. So it's just like the internet has just blown up. And I feel like it's really, accelerated this move to the cloud movement, if you will.
So you think after people can leave their homes, you still would like the whole virtual performance concert deal? You can just maybe like log in and see one of your favorite bands perform.
Yeah, because it's definitely not the same because there is a power of connection of being in a large space with large people and feeling large music. But why can't you have that and also be able to sit on your couch and watch your favorite DJ spin in their living room? I think it's opened up a whole very, very cool dynamic to seeing music and playing music. And I really do hope that the frequency is definitely going to reduce a ton, but I think it would be cool to still have a handful of festivals that are online only. That it's not going to be able to monetize, but just say it's like a charity, for example, and people submit donations or whatever, and still make it a successful venture.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm burping.
Oh, you're fine. How do you think that'll affect up and coming artists? Let's say COVID lasts, a much longer time. How do you think that will affect the uprise of newer artists that are trying to make it?
Honestly, I don't think. I don't think too much is going to change for that, honestly. Because I mean, as an up and coming artist myself, I'm practically online only as is, and a lot of people aren't really playing many shows yet or aren't touring and stuff too, and they're engaging on SoundCloud and reaching out to Spotify playlists, online organic growth, and I think, I mean, you aren't going to be able to play local gigs or anything, and that hurts. But outside of that, I think it's, if anything, is kind of helping. Well, I should say helping, but
like level the playing field a little bit, because now
Yeah, well-
like up and coming artists have access to the millions and millions of people online, so they don't have
Mhm.
to go to like those smaller gigs and work their way up. They can already have a mass market right away, and then the people that are already big, people will watch them already, but it just gives access to a lot more people now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But in terms of promoting on SoundCloud, reaching out to other small artists and stuff like that, if anything's changed, there's just been more time to try and promote your music and make music. And as an underground artist, that's priority one is making music and getting better at making music. Watching tutorials, practicing your craft, just having that extra bit of time for those. I mean, I know some people have way less time. Various people are affected differently by this. But for those that do have more time, it's really, if you have that drive to capitalize on it, it's really accelerating in terms of getting better. But in terms of getting heard, I don't think too much has changed, if you will. There are more people listening and stuff because people are more sedentary and stuff. But I don't think from what I've seen, like it's been too different from what it was, because it was mostly, at least for me, online only as is. It's just now there's more online only activity.
Okay. No, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, nobody really knows. You kind of project, I mean, that things will all go through the internet. But there's the thing about up and coming artists, to be able to, see people in person, do a live show. That's how you kind of like.
Yeah.
That's how you kind of win your like local area. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a little bit more tough, not having that live aspect to it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the local gig thing, it sucks, but you're having your local live stream type things pop up, but it's nowhere near as many people are tuning in as opposed to people going to the club with friends and jamming out to stuff, and also networking locally. That's at a standstill, and that's huge.
Yeah, that's big.
I guess I was speaking at it from creating music and promoting music, I guess. But in terms of getting out there, playing shows, networking, etc. I mean, you can still network online, but in a local scene, it's just that's at a standstill, I'd imagine.
Yeah. No,
Well,
I agree.
It's interesting.
Zach, what you got?
So yeah, man, let's talk a little bit about your song Boomerang with Bizzo. Tell me about the process on that one, because it's a super interesting track, because it almost has like a little bit of like heavy bass in there and like a little bit of wobbles in there, but you also have some like future beats in there and some really interesting like experimental sounds in there as well. So tell me how you made that and the collaboration process with Bizzo.
Yes, in terms of making the track, it was one of those tracks that I was just able to make in a night, kind of. I think it started off as a lo-fi beat, but I always have a tendency to add in some elements of bass music to my music, so I added some wubs in there. There's a fuck ton of Foley sounds going on that you can hear as well. But yeah, it was one of those
almost
tracks
sounds like kind of almost wet in a way, like
there's some ocean in there.
Okay.
A lot of ocean. I use
Did you
ocean
record?
sounds a lot.
Did you record the ocean?
That one, I believe I did not. I believe that was just an ocean sample I got off of um, uh, Internet Archive. I believe I grabbed that one.
I didn't know if it was a little bit of the Indian Ocean or something. You just never
Yeah, I do have some actual ocean sounds I recorded.
Okay.
Not from being in Florida and stuff, but
Nah, I got you.
yeah. But in terms of making the actual beat, I was able to crank. It was just one of those nights I was able to crank it out pretty quick. Just added one element, then added another, and just sitting on this beat. I'm like, I think some hip hop or some rap vocals would sit pretty well over it.
Yeah. How did you meet Bizzo?
Yeah. So you know Wheezy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So through him, it was pretty funny actually. I was over at Wheezy's and then I just left, and Bizzo is like an old high school friend of Wheezy. They've known each other for a while. But yeah, Bizzo, like right after I was at Wheezy's, went home, Bizzo came over to hang out with Wheezy and was like, man, I really want to start rapping. And Wheezy's like, bet, like hits me up, like, cause like,
Wait, so was that his first
needed
time
producer.
rapping on that?
That on Boomerang was Bizzo's first time in front of the mic.
Oh shit, dude! No way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so apparently he's been like writing lyrics for fucking years and years, and you freestyle all the time, and Weezy was just like, what are you doing, man? Like, whatever. So he has just notebooks on notebooks of shit he's written.
Yeah, you can tell like there's been a lot of experience in his writing, and then like his delivery was pretty good though still.
Yeah, he in terms of working in the studio with him, it's seamless. Like we probably took 3 or 4 takes for Boomerang with him in the studio and got all the vocals in 1 to 2 hours, which is pretty damn quick.
Where do you guys record? Do you record at home or?
Yeah, just in my apartment.
Okay.
Nothing fancy. Yeah, I got a little mic. Converted the dining room into a studio. Zach has been there.
Oh yeah, dude, it's a nice little spot.
That's the best way to. That's the best way to do it. And then you're going into the. What do you have? The Apollo.
Yeah. So I'm running through the UAD. So I got 1176 slapped on there, and then 610B is the preamp I'm using. But yeah,
okay.
no,
yeah,
like
that's good.
I
you get clean,
like
you get clean vocals.
Yeah, and I kind of like I guess it's I don't know what the right word for it, but like I really like the sound that you get recording in a non-perfect environment. Like the vocals almost sound more open and airy. There are also just some random background noises that came through, and I think that boils down to my love for just natural like Foley sounds, and capturing that type of stuff in the recording. Like it's far from perfect as opposed to if I put the mic in my closet or something like that, but kind of
so
like
you like the
open
rawness that it adds to it.
Yeah, it adds, you get like a little subtle room reverb on it, because I'm in my dining room. But I kind of like the sound you get from it, because when you're recording in like a booth, it can I've heard a lot of times the vocal doesn't, it can be hard to get it to have that open sound to it as opposed to being closeted, and that's when some reverb can be added in and stuff. But recording that non-perfect environment kind of gives it a weird little like organic open airy tint to it. Not perfect sounding, but I don't know, I kind of dig it. Eventually we'll try to upgrade to a more proper recording environment still, because you can't
I mean, yeah. Well, so I'm trying to envision the setup. Like, is the microphone smack in the middle of the dining room? No acoustic treatment at all. Just
I got here. I can walk in there and just show you real quick. I'm just in my room in here. But yeah, no, I got soundproofing and shit in here.
Oh, okay.
But it's still a dining room, But yeah, that's
nice.
it. And then Mike's right there. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, you got a little vocal booth thing going on for it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
alright.
still got
Okay.
some insulation and stuff. It's not too open, if you will, but
Hell yeah, man.
still,
So
might get the sound of Hayden opened the refrigerator or something. Sounds cool because it's just another Foley sound that accidentally hopped in there. But
that's awesome. It's so interesting, like different types of producers, because you got the the producers that are like super duper anal, kind of like me. I'm like everything has to be like perfect, but then you have a producer that just goes with the flow like you, and you just kind of like take it as a happy mistake in a way, or happy
I
accident.
love happy mistakes, man.
Yeah,
there's so much luck when it comes to music, and happy accidents definitely falls under that category, if you will. But yeah, no, I like there's no right way to do anything. I mean, with certain stuff, yes, there is, like, but generally when it comes to making music, there's no right way. Find the way that you dig, that you enjoy, that you think produces a dope sound, and go with it.
oh yeah, man. Quick question though. So when you're like producing a song, what do you usually start out with? Do you start out with like the drums, the synths?
I've experimented with various things when it comes to that, and it's still something I'm trying to tackle in terms of my creative process, and getting over writer's block and stuff. And I've started songs off of just finding a sample that I think sounds dope. That sample may or may not end up in the track, but sometimes scrolling through, you're like, oh fuck, that sounds dope, and you just hear something in your head right away, and the juices start flowing. So I might start a track like that. Lately, I've been trying to write chord progressions as the start, though. I'm trying to get more buffed up on music theory and stuff like that. I'm trying to incorporate that more. So lately, I've been on some newer stuff I'm working on. Writing a bass line, writing some chords out to give it that feeling. And when you're starting from a sample, you can't like duplicate the MIDI to another sound and carry it, and maybe transpose it up or down to give it a full sound. So you're kind of limited in that fashion. So lately I've been trying with just starting with the chord progression and taking it from there. And I've also found that to be just a little more inspiring, if you will, because you're creating that. Because when it comes to music, chord progressions and the drum pattern are key. If you study chord progressions, or not study, but look at the history of chord progressions and all that stuff from classical music to where we're at now, like they all are made to make you feel a certain way. And when it comes to making music, that's one of the main goals, is to make you feel a certain way. And so that's just the new initial idea route I've been taking, is just trying to make that initial feeling, and then going from there based off the chord progression.
Do you feel when you start with drums first, or if you start with chord progressions first, do you feel like your music sounds different, or do you still think the end result is
definitely sounds different. Like songs that I've started with the drums, you'll hear there's just a lot more percussive elements, and that's kind of more so the driving force of the track, or all the percussive sounds, as opposed to the as opposed to the MIDI notes and the melodies and stuff like that. Starting with the sample, I'd say that wouldn't stray too far away from starting with the chord progression, because you're starting with that initial feeling, if you will. But definitely notice a different sound when I start a track with the drums. And I don't think I've done that in almost a year now, where I've started a track with drums. I've just for my creative process I've just had better luck starting with that feeling, that melody or whatever, and then layering the drums after that. Because you can have a dope drum loop together, but then it's like, all right, what sound is going to sound dope on this? And then sometimes I just run into a roadblock with it.
I was literally just about to say that. Does either way kind of hinder you? And you just answered it. So that was perfect. When you do the drums first, sometimes you can't find the perfect sound that complements those drums. You know what I mean? But if you were to make the melody first, you can literally take that same drum and put it on there, and then it might work. It's just weird. It's just weird how that happens sometimes. You know, I'm talking about on a whole separate beat. You know what I mean? But
yeah, exactly, exactly. But again, you know what works for you works for you. You know, like
right. What's the fastest you've made a song? Like ready to go. I don't need to mess with it anymore.
Probably unreleased track that I finished probably about a month ago with Bizzo, actually starting a side alias with him that's gonna be all hip hop because I'm like,
tight.
Like, you know, the shit's dope. Might as well just, you know, start an official project with him on it. But yeah, it was actually really dope. He came over. I just made a beat from scratch, and he wrote to it and made the beat and recorded it in about 4 hours total.
Oh wow,
done. So
some
really
of the
fun
best
too.
songs come out of just a couple hours of making.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. When it comes to like the more electronic stuff though, that's always still taking me a longer time. Like I can get like I've had tracks where I got like the core track, you know, done in a day, but I'll still spend like a week or two working on it. You know, a lot of times just not listening to it, you know. Just because I don't know, there's like just more going on, I guess, with electronic production as opposed to hip hop with what I've experienced, if you will. But yeah, like what I figured out really helps me finish something as soon as possible. At least the core arrangement and everything is just getting an arrangement out. Like, you know, escaping that 16 bar loop that you start on. Like that 16 bar loop may be shit, but like once you have it and just kind of create an arrangement, right? Maybe you want the intro to be 16 bars, 32 bar drop. Maybe you want a mid drop, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of getting that arrangement out as soon as possible for me has really helped get things done quicker because you already have your canvas laid out and you can say you're starting to get, you know, ear fatigue from working on the first drop. Well, you got, you know, the placeholders already, you know, ready to go for the second drop. So you can just switch to there, or you can work on the bridge. So it also helps you fight that ear fatigue in terms of being able to section off parts of the track to work on, and you can keep bouncing around. And I've really found that to help my creative process and also get over that shitty writer's block that likes to creep around all the time that everyone has issues with. But
oh yeah. And man, there's like there's a couple different ways to you know, compose a song and, you know, create that outline. What is your process for creating an outline? Because I know sometimes people, you know, have that 16 bar loop, they duplicate it across the whole track for, you know, however long they want it to be and delete what's not there. Other people do it other ways. What's your process of doing that?
Well, I guess it kind of depends on what I initially put together, but honestly, what I'll do is I'll just say I have that 16 bar loop. I'll just duplicate it out, depending on the track. If it's like a lo-fi track or whatever, how I then cut in the arrangement after, you know, duplicating out the 16 bar loop will be different. So say it's lo-fi, for example. Usually lo-fi, there can be a bridge or whatever, but a lot of times, you know, it's just like a beat that rides on. So, you know, I wouldn't be necessarily cutting out like a bridge or whatever, but what I like to do is put like a time signature marker, like maybe every 4 bars, just to remind myself, all right, need to make some, you know, switch or whatever, just to keep the song moving and keep it interesting and, you know, add effects and stuff like that. But say it's like a house track, you know, you got to have your first drop, second drop, and, you know, the builds in between. So after I duplicate out that loop, I'll, you know, just kind of cut out the bridge, the second drop, and stuff like that. And when I'm saying cutting out, I'm saying, adding those time signature markers just to point it out, and I'll rename them to, be bridge, drop 2. The ones every 4 bars, I'll just, leave as numbered, but those are just kind of mental reminders for me to make it interesting, and add new elements, add effects, just to keep the track moving and progressing.
I like it.
I know a lot of people use, reference tracks, if you will, in terms of developing the arrangement. So I've seen folks where they, have a track they really like, they'll put it in the project file and basically cut out their arrangement based off of the arrangement in that track, which is, I've never really done that actually. And I've been thinking about trying it out, just see how that would work. But, a lot of electronic music in particular, their arrangements all are pretty much, analogous to each other, where you got maybe, it's like the law of 32 bars, if you will. 32 bar intro, 32 bar drop, 32 bar bridge, 32 bar drop 2.
It's pretty blocky.
Yeah. And you'll run into some really experimental arrangements too. Maybe it's like a 24 bar intro with a 16 bar drop 1, then 8 bars that lead into another part of the drop 1 as like a mid riser or whatever, if you will. So stuff like that is where I think using a reference track would kind of help dive deeper into those unique arrangements. But generally in the stuff I've worked on, I've kept my, arrangement theory side of the projects pretty simple. It really boils down to how do you keep the track interesting and moving and, not boring. That can be accomplished with basic arrangement, just, with, like I said, parsing out your markers and making things interesting, but it can also be accomplished with a more complex arrangement. But
Okay.
that's kind of what it boils down to, I think.
Cool, man.
Have you always been? Oh, my bad.
No, go ahead, dude.
Well, I was just saying. So you're. It sounds like your project that came out back in July. That was your solo project, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then now you're working on a group project.
Mm-hmm.
Is collaboration like something you've always been down to do? You just have to find the right person to collaborate with? Or?
Yeah, I love working with other artists. It's definitely something I strive to do. I mean, of course, you got to have your self releases, but I really enjoy working with other people because you learn, for one, from other folks, writing process and stuff. And I don't know, I just love I don't know, I just love working with other people on stuff and seeing what two minds can create as opposed to one.
Give me a dream collaboration, like someone you just, one day you'll probably be able to work with.
Besides me. I'm just kidding.
Or me.
Oh man, I would really love to do a track with Ellis Stream one day.
Who is it?
Ellis Stream,
okay.
aka Brills. He used to be Brills.
Oh yeah,
you guys have heard of Brills, but I fucking have been loving his music lately. Okay, still a few years out, but maybe one day.
No, hey, you never know.
Yeah, you're putting it out right now.
Yeah,
the universe is hearing it.
Just never know.
Yeah, that'd be dope. I don't know. I just really find him very inspiring as a human, and his music is just hella dope. Love his sound. That'll be a dream project, I think, for me.
Oh yeah, man. So, aside from that dream project, when you collaborate with people, what difficulties have you found to be the hardest part about collaboration? Because I know sometimes it's kind of hard to work with certain people, and other people it just, like you said with Bizzo, just like works flawlessly.
Yeah, working with everyone I've worked with in person, like the experience has been great. Honestly, it wouldn't have too much to say as a con to it, just because in the same room, you're working on something, you're learning from the other person's workflow, stuff like that. I'd say one couple just setbacks I've run into is just kind of coming to an agreement on when a track is or isn't done, or just having different opinions on things, and
Well, a
that can
song
be
is never
frustrating.
done.
But yeah, or like I might like how this one sound fits, but the other person might not. But then maybe you listen to the track like 2 months later after it's out, I'm like, shit, like he was right, like but I guess just disagreements, but that's a natural occurrence when you're working with somebody.
It's
And
almost like a
at the end of the
relationship
day,
with someone,
yeah,
you got to
yeah,
work with each other and like,
yeah,
give here and there and,
yeah, you gotta compromise.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah, but at the end of the day, like a track I was thinking about is Air Loop that I made with Kenji. And yeah,
Dude, that
we're
song is
just
fucking tight, bro. Like it's so
man,
vibey. Yeah.
thanks. Our disagreement on that though was the lead synth, because I had added more processing on it, and he was saying that he didn't like how it took out some of the warmth. I was like, oh, it sounds cool though, but went with what he thought. And listening to it now, I'm like, fuck, he was totally right. But yeah, but it's fun. Nothing ever like truly negative, if you will, in terms of disagreement. Just just a part of the process.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
Well, you know what you do with those kind of things, especially if you put it out.
Mm-hmm.
If you put something out, months go by, you're like, man, I wish I would have done this, that. That's a really good reason or excuse to do like a special edition re-release.
Yeah, like a VIP. Yeah.
Yeah, it gives you content. Get people pumped about the same music all over again. You know what I mean? But like, hey, it's different. It's the same project, but it's different. This is this is a dot two or dot whatever you want to call it. But artists do that all the time, and they call it like a special edition or whatever, and it's just like minor little tweaks and stuff that they changed that was probably driving them crazy the past couple months.
Mm-hmm.
Big artists do that too. I think.
Oh yeah,
VIPs, come out
man.
and they're like deluxe editions or whatever. Like I know Glass
or
something, and they sound tight. They do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm actually going to be working on a VIP of Air Loop. Speaking of it.
Oh, you are. All right.
Yeah, so
here first.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
What type of direction are you thinking of going with it?
Well, he sent me like a new chord progression. So it'll sound a lot different, I think, just because the basic chord progression is gonna be different. But I do want to incorporate a lot of the same elements and give it that same vibe.
Like the Foley sounds and everything.
Oh yeah, every track I make is gonna have a bunch of Foley in it. I just love it, like because I don't know, like I feel like just the sounds of our world and just sounds of everyday life are, like a lot of things are just kind of taken for granted, and I really like to capture that stuff. And like a sound you hear every day that you would never think could sound dope in a song, just trying to do that. I get a lot of gratification out of it. And
that's good.
Well, also too, it brings people into like a new world that you create in a way, because like you're taking sounds from like the beach, or you may have city sounds mixed with that, and that's something.
Yeah, it's like subliminal stuff too, right? Because the sound of ocean waves is going to make you feel different than the sound of you hitting a metal pipe, or the sound of a busy street. The sound of a busy street kind of gives you more of a sense of urgency, whereas opposed to the sound of a beach, you're like, fuck, I'm gonna crack open another Stella and chill out.
Do you take that into consideration when you're making music with your Foley sounds? Are you like, hey, this is more of like a chill vibe, so I want to add like some beach waves? Or
yeah, totally. I like to use a lot of crowd noises too. I forget whose video I was watching, but was a couple months ago. I was watching like a random tutorial video online. I forget who it was. But yeah, they're saying they use like crowd noises all the time, like on the drop of a track. So,
Huh.
the first drop, instead of like you have a very quiet crowd noise, but like gives that subliminal message of people cheering, in a crowd.
They're like, you better
right?
start cheering now.
Yeah. Well, like when you add that subliminal layer to the drop, it just kind of adds that energy, right? Very, very subtle, people cheering, like, and it also adds to the effect, I suppose, if you'd be playing it in front of a lot of people that are cheering as well. But yeah, totally factor in how how the track feels, how the track's going with the type of Foley sounds I include, like that example of an ocean versus city noises, for example. But also like the sounds of a forest, the sounds of a forest, all the insects and chirps and stuff kind of give you like a murky feeling, kind of like, I wouldn't say uneasy. I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but like, what I'm saying, kind of makes you
like
feel
mysterious almost.
Yeah.
Makes me think of mosquitoes. Ow.
Yeah. Like, fuck, where's the bug spray, man?
Right.
But yeah, no, like, but all the sounds of the world, and it all makes you feel a certain way, and I love incorporating it in music. It's just a lot of fun, especially when you record it yourself, because I don't know, it's just really rewarding as an artist to capture something somewhere in the world. Like in Las Vegas, for example, I went on a trip in Las Vegas and recorded a bunch of Foley sounds over there, and that gives you, like the sound of like people winning a game of craps. It's like this happiness, but like a short-lived happiness, because you're gambling. It's all this stuff has.
What do you use to record that? Like your phone, or do you have a mic? What do you
Yeah,
use?
I got. Let me go back to the studio and grab my little gadget.
Yeah, walk us through this, because I'm imagining you walking around with some stereo mic that has the two ends on it.
Yeah,
It gives you like that 3D sound.
Awesome.
And then I'm also like thinking of like them old school things that reporters used to like interview people with.
Yeah, it's nothing fancy. It's a cute little fella.
Is that a Zoom?
Yeah, it's a Zoom.
Okay.
I think it's like $150 on Amazon. It's a pretty good price. It's cheaper than the Tascam stuff that you'll see. Those are the most popular devices. But what I didn't like about those are they're pretty bulky. But this guy,
That's a tiny one, man.
Yeah, no, I really liked it because it's very small, very portable. I got a little stand that screws in the bottom, so I can actually like put it on a little tripod and carry it around. But what's also really cool about it, other than the portability factor, are the sound capture settings. So I don't know if you can see that.
What does it say on there?
Here, hold on. I got an idea.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically you got 4 sound capture settings. So I use just the normal XY, which is, typical stereo capture, but you got mid-side audio capture. You got 4-channel surround sound, which you could use in, movie productions and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
Don't ever use that guy, because not everyone's listening to a surround sound system. And then you got 2-channel surround sound as well. But I always use the normal stereo capture, but the other stuff is pretty neat, and there are certain circumstances where you might want to use one of the other parameters.
What got you into that? Like, what made you want to just like record random shit all day?
Well, I've all like in my music, I've always just kind of been drawn to using Foley sounds. I don't know what the initial inspiration for that was, but it's just something I've always really loved to do. And I was like, fuck it,
It wasn't
I
We
start
Are Your
recording my own
Friends?
stuff. Huh?
It wasn't
Yeah,
the
I'm
movie
trying to-
We Are Your Friends?
Yeah, no.
You see that, Daryl? Or do you see?
Yeah, No. I know exactly what you're talking about. And you know what's so funny. I guess we're in a world where I guess people are used to people having things in their hands. Like people are used to walking, phone and selfie, and hey, look at me, look where I'm at. So I guess it's not that weird if you're walking around with a mic. Like,
Yeah, trust me, it's weird. Like I got strip searched in the India airport because of this motherfucker.
Oh,
all
no
right,
way.
like yeah, people think it's like a bomb or a gun that I'm walking around. So like I get a lot of weird looks when I'm carrying this thing around. I don't get it. It looks like a
clearly a
mic.
microphone.
I
Right.
just don't get it. But it's funny. Yeah, when I was leaving India to come back to the U.S. So I also have a sub pack, right? And this thing's a vest. It's black. You could
Dude,
say
those
it might
things are
look like a
tight.
bomb vest. You could say
Right.
it might look like a bomb vest when you have it on. And I've always been waiting for the moment for it to trigger something in the airport, and I have to go explain to someone what it is, have them wear it, and I thought it would be funny. Yeah. Anyway, so I got pulled into security place in the airport in Hyderabad. Got strip search and all that. I'm like, all right, they probably found the sub pack. All right, I have to explain it to them, and it turned out being this thing. They thought it was an e-cigarette.
Oh
So I
my
tried to
God.
explain to it. Yeah, it was funny. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, the good thing is that's all you had to explain.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a funny situation. It takes me a while to get.
What made you go to India?
So I was actually over there for work, but yeah, I was there pretty much all of November and January. So pretty much total of 2 months, but on 2 separate trips. But yeah, I was there on a work trip for my day job.
Okay.
Pretty cool opportunity to go over there though. It's a awesome country. You know, like it was a really fortunate experience for me, and very fortunate that I was able to do it, and got a lot of cool sounds, and actually pretty much have a sample pack together of all India sounds, then also of Vegas sounds that I'll probably end up posting up for free download at some point.
Nice,
but
man. You
yeah,
ever
it's just
think
been
about
like
like selling them or anything?
nah, I'm not into selling stuff really.
You're just like, here you go, guys, take it.
Yeah, no,
That's
just
awesome.
use it and be creative. You can make money other ways, I guess.
Let me know when you do that so I can download them.
I can send you it now if you want. You
Sure.
got the inside scoop.
All right.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just like I've always liked going on walks and stuff, and I was just thinking like, well, I'll just bring this and record stuff while I'm outside doing shit. And I'm really glad I did, because it's just really fun. And it's really fun listening back to the sounds and chopping them up and being like, oh shit, like if you just heard the sound, it just sounds like like people on the street. But when you recorded it, like kind of takes you back to that moment. It's kind of weird. With how all the senses interact with each other, sight, sound, if you hear just sound, you might remember the smells, remember the sight, et cetera, et
It's
cetera.
almost
So it's cool.
nostalgic in a way.
Yeah, very, very much so. It's a lot of fun. To all producers out there, I would highly recommend investing in any kind of field recorder. I know a lot of people use the Tascams, and those are great. Again, I have a Zoom H2N, and I'd say this thing definitely has an up in terms of portability, just because it's pretty small, handheld. And the sound quality captured is just as good as all the others. I'd say it's generally a pretty level field in terms of the different field recorders that are out there in terms of the quality and everything. I mean, you got your really expensive stuff, but I don't know how much better that is than recording on your iPhone. Like the audio you can capture on your iPhone is really good.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
If you got an iPhone, you don't even need to get a hand recorder.
Okay. So I like that advice that you're giving out. You've already gave out a lot of good advice. One of the things that popped out to me with other producers and artists is, hey, release like one song at a time. Kind of play the field, see what people are liking. Question me and Zach we like to ask all the time is, what is some other advice that you would give to any producers out there that's maybe trying to get into the whole music thing?
Don't give up. That's probably advice number one. I mean, you see that everywhere too, but it's it's music is a long haul, and with a lot of things, humans naturally just want some immediate gratification and stuff like that. But it's truly something that takes a lot of time, and something that you're only going to get to that level you want to get to through time, like years. Some people might take like 2 years, some people it might take 12. But the key is to not give up and to stay consistent and to stay disciplined, and just keep on going. And one thing I've personally struggled with is comparing myself to other artists, and that in turn makes me think like, my shit's
Mhm.
just nowhere near as good, et cetera, et
Mhm.
cetera. And it's hard to escape that too, especially with social media, because you open up Instagram and the first post you see is maybe another big artist you look up to and stuff, and we're just kind of constantly bombarded with that type of it's really easy to get into that type of thought process, if you will. But
I couldn't
I've
agree
been
more,
really
man.
trying. Yeah, I've been really trying to just not compare myself, and just to really focus on just getting better and just to keep on going, because like music is years and years and years of time, and it's just one of those things that doesn't happen overnight. I mean, sometimes it does. It really depends, but it's just about keeping going with it. And that's just been
Yeah.
a big thing I've struggled with myself, and just gotta just kind of not get into that mindset of
Yeah.
comparing
You
yourself
can't.
and
Yeah. Yeah. Don't get
getting down on
discouraged.
yourself. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't get
um
discouraged. I mean, it's okay if you do, but that's part of the game. Like,
yeah, I
you
get
know.
discouraged like every week. Like,
Yeah.
it's like the emotional ups and downs of an artist, or it's
It's
unreal.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
like one
crazy.
day you're like high on life, and then the rest of the week you're like, god damn, like my music is shit, like put so much time into it. But it's just, you got to shut up that voice in your head. It's really hard to. It's like one of my number one struggles right now. But just gotta shut them up and just keep going. um
Dope.
like one thing I've found that's helped me kind of get over that hurdle is just learning, as opposed to just producing. Because I can get into when I'm always just trying to produce, you'll hit writer's block, and that little voice will be like, ah, man, you're never gonna finish this track. You just can't finish tracks, blah blah blah. And one way I've found, or one method I've found that helps quiet that up and helps you get over that hurdle, is just learning. Um,
What do you
Maybe
do
not even learning,
to
just getting in the DAW and doing sound design, making racks, doing something other than outside of creating a track, because a lot of times you'll find new inspiration, new ways of
Mm-hmm.
doing things. You'll have a new effect rack that you made, that you never would have made if you're making a
Mm-hmm.
track, right? That can add to your inventory. So that's the way I've found that helps a lot with battling that voice, and battling that writer's block, all that stuff. It's like a lot of random tips kind of bundled into that, but that's just something I've been struggling with myself recently, and kind of tactics I've been using to get around that. And two, like when you're into it in a couple of years, it's hard to always remember everything you learn,
Mm.
right? And so it's also very recently for me, I've been doing learning sessions and come across something. I'm like, wait, I used to do that in some of my old music, and I just totally forgot, like that particular method exists. I'm like, like then that light bulb goes off, and brain starts, firing, on all cylinders and all that. So, but everyone has different ways, I think, to keep keep inspiration going and flowing. Learning is the way that's really worked for me. Sometimes it's just putting everything down for a day and vegetating on Netflix, like I've done all day today.
Yeah.
Like, but the key is to never give up and try not to compare yourself, because we're all individuals and very unique.
Yeah. And we're all doing this at our own pace too. So
Yeah, exactly.
one last question from me. So you're following. What's a couple of things? I know you have your collaboration that you're doing. Other than that, what else can they be looking forward to from seeing from you?
So got a lot of music lined up with the side project I have with Bizzo. That project's called The Underdogs, spelled DEOUGS. That stands for dedicated, educated, open, understanding, and genuine. Bizzo already had it lined up. He's already got the tat and stuff. So
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah. But yeah, we got like 6 unreleased for that. First track is coming out June 7th. Which is right around the corner, actually. Shit.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of music lined up for that. Then for Rederick, next release will be mid-June. So keep an eye on that for that as well. But
Hell
got
yeah,
some
man. Can't wait to hear
new
that
projects I'm really, really excited on for the Rederick project as well. So a lot of stuff to, new stuff every month. So.
Hey, well, I'm pretty sure they're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Anything that we can do here at eMix to help you out, we're always just a phone call away.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And it's really cool that you're able to be so versatile as far as like, changing your style up for any collaboration work that you're doing, but then also being able to stay true to what you're doing on your solo projects. So keep that up. And Zach, you got anything else to close out?
Yeah, man. Where can people find you on social media? So, SoundCloud, Instagram, all that. What's your handle?
So Rederick Music. So REDERICK music. If you type that in, pretty much anywhere you'll find me. That's my URL for everything, as well as social media. So
awesome. Well, go check them out, guys. You're killing it, man. Thank you so much for coming on too. This has been an absolute pleasure.
For sure. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No worries, brother.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, that's it. Hey, join us for the next episode coming up soon. In the meantime, follow Rederick. Keep your eyes and ears open for whatever he has going on. And we will see you guys in the next one.
Awesome. Peace.
Peace.